If you want a plant that grows fast, improves your soil, attracts pollinators, and gives you food, all with almost no effort, then keep watching. Pigeon peas are a must have in a food forest or backyard garden. It's a perennial legume that's rich in protein, and depending on where you're from, you might know them as Gandules or Gungo peas. In this video, I'll briefly share how I grew and harvested my pigeon peas, along with a few ways that you can use them. Everything I'm sharing is based on my personal experience growing pigeon peas over the past 2 to 3 years, and I hope it helps you if you're thinking about growing them yourself. So, first, let's talk about how I grew and took care of my pigeon peas. Overall, it's a very simple process that requires little to no effort. Anyone can do it. I live in Florida in Zone 10A, and if you're familiar with Florida soil, you know that it's just sand. And the good news is that pigeon peas do very well in sandy soil. Pigeon peas can grow up to 12 feet tall, so make sure you choose a sunny location with plenty of space. I got my seeds from Jamaica, which is where I'm from, but you don't have to do that. You can also plant dried pigeon peas from the grocery store. I sow the seeds about 1 centimeter into the soil, and honestly, the exact planting depth isn't very important. Just don't plant them too deep. I didn't do anything special to prepare the soil, no fertilizer, and no compost. I planted the seeds, watered them, and kept the soil moist once it was established. They usually germinate within about a week. This is a super easy, low effort plant. You don't have to constantly feed it for it to thrive, and it is drought tolerant. In fact, pigeon peas actually improve the soil by adding nitrogen. So it takes a few months after planting for pigeon peas to start flowering, which really isn't that long. And when they do start to flower, their bright yellow flowers attract lots of beneficial pollinators, especially bees. Each plant produces an abundance of clustered pods, as you can see here. This harvest was from last year, and I was harvesting this amount several times a week for about 1 to 2 months. Okay, so let's move on to how I harvested my pigeon peas. Pigeon peas are ready to harvest when the pods are full and plump, and each pod usually contains about 5 to 6 peas. You can feel this by gently pressing the pod between your fingers, and when the pods are held up to the sunlight, the peas inside should look large and clearly fill out the pod. If they still look small or spaced out, it's best to leave them to mature a bit longer. So at first, the pods are green, and then they slowly turn yellow green and eventually brown. The longer the pods stay on the plant, the harder the peas become. So personally, I like to harvest my pigeon peas when the pods are yellowish green. And if you plan to eat them raw, I recommend harvesting them earlier while the pods are still green and the peas are soft, but still plump. And if you want to save the seeds to grow more plants later on, simply leave the pods on the plant until they dry out and turn brown. When you shake the pods, you should hear a rattling sound, and that's how you know the seeds are fully dry. At that point, you can harvest them and store the seeds until you're ready to plant again. Is this one yellow? Here's some other. Here are some of the ways that you can use pigeon peas once you've harvested them. So pigeon peas can be eaten raw, added to potato salads, coleslaws, or served as a side dish. Some people prefer to boil them before eating. In my country, pigeon peas are commonly cooked and eaten with rice. Another option is to stew them. You can also freeze pigeon peas and store them for later use. Just remember to remove the peas from the pods first. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who is interested in gardening or growing their own food. Let me know in the comments if you've grown pigeon peas before or if you're thinking about planting them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.